Bob discovered money one afternoon while cleaning a drawer he hadn't opened since the invention of the remote control. Inside, he found a few coins, a crumpled bill, and a mysterious receipt for something called emergency pizza. He stared at the money like it was a rare animal. Money was fascinating. Money could turn into food. Money could turn into shoes. Money could turn into things Bob didn't remember buying. Bob tried to count it. He failed twice and blamed the lighting. Numbers made Bob uncomfortable. They stared back at him like tiny judges. So Bob made a decision that felt wise at the time. Money should work harder than me. At first, money listened. It stayed in his pocket for almost an entire afternoon. Bob felt powerful. He sat on the couch like a king, guarding his treasure, watching a documentary about sharks and eating chips with one hand while patting his pocket with the other. Then money escaped. It didn't run dramatically, it left quietly. One coffee here, one sandwich there. One limited-time offer that somehow lasted 3 months. Bob didn't notice until his pocket felt lighter. Bob chased money like it had personally insulted him. Running after money felt productive. It wasn't. Bob learned this after he found himself jogging mentally while standing still physically. He wasn't exercising, he was worrying. That was his cardio. Then one day, Bob found something magical. The card. The card was thin, silent, and incredibly confident. The card didn't say, "You can't afford this." The card said, "Approved." With the card, Bob could buy things without watching money leave. It was like watching a magic show where the magician made your paycheck disappear. Swipe now, regret later. Bob loved the card. The card loved Bob's signature. Money left quietly. Bills arrived loudly. They arrived in envelopes, emails, and strange apps Bob didn't remember downloading. The bills stacked up like a small paper mountain. At the top of the mountain was something called interest, which sounded friendly but behaved like a prank. That's when Bob met debt. Debt was heavy. Debt was slow. Debt did not believe in personal space. Debt attached itself to Bob like a very unmotivated backpack. Wherever Bob went, debt followed. Bob walked faster, debt stayed close. Bob walked slower, debt still stayed close. Bob tried to negotiate. "Listen," Bob said to debt, "we can work something out." Debt did not speak. Debt just pulled. Bob tried to hide. He hid behind his phone. Debt found him. He hid behind a shopping bag. Debt found him. He hid behind a motivational quote on social media. Debt liked the quote and stayed. Bob blamed the economy. The economy blamed Bob's shopping history. Bob blamed bad luck. Bad luck blamed the card. Bob blamed the card. The card just blinked. So Bob went looking for wisdom. Wisdom looked suspiciously like a boring book. It had no pictures, no emojis, no bright promises. It said things like, "Pay yourself first, spend less than you earn, stop running after money." Bob read that last sentence twice. "Stop running?" Bob said, "but I've been running this whole time." The book didn't care. So Bob tried something strange. He stopped. He didn't buy the coffee, he didn't click the sale banner, he didn't swipe the card just because it felt lonely in his wallet. And something weird happened. Money noticed. Bob saved one coin, then another. Then he hid them from himself because Bob knew Bob. He put the coins in a small bag and labeled it "Not for Snacks." Soon Bob met interest again, but this time interest behaved differently. Instead of adding weight, interest added friends. Coins multiplied slowly, like shy rabbits. Bob stared at the growing pile and said, "Oh, so that's what you do when I don't chase you." Bob started walking instead of running, and money started following instead of escaping. Bob still saw sales. Sales still saw Bob, but now Bob remembered the book. Bob said no. The sale looked confused. Money clapped quietly. Bob bought time instead of things. He didn't buy the newest gadget, he bought a quieter month. Time bought Bob peace. Peace attracted money. Bob trained his money like a pet. "Sit," Bob said. Money sat. "Stay," Bob said. Money stayed. "Grow," Bob said. Money stretched a little and did its best. Debt didn't like this new routine. Debt tried to pull Bob back into panic, but Bob didn't run. Debt tried to scare Bob with big numbers. Bob brought out the small numbers he could control. Debt got bored. One day, Bob found something strange. He didn't feel rich, he felt calm. His wallet wasn't heavy, his mind was lighter. Bob still worked, Bob still paid bills, Bob still bought food, but now money behaved. Money lined up. Money waited. Money followed rules. Bob realized something important. Money changes form. Coins become bills, bills become cards, cards become apps, apps become alerts that Bob learned to mute. But behavior changes everything. When Bob chased money, money ran. When Bob ignored money, money disappeared. When Bob respected money, money stayed. And Bob learned the oldest rule of all. Money is not emotional. People are. Money is not lazy. Habits are. Money doesn't hate people. Money hates bad behavior. Bob didn't become rich overnight. He became boring on purpose, and that turned out to be powerful. Bob still smiled when he found a coin in his pocket, but now he smiled because he knew where the rest were. Bob still used the card, but now the card worked for Bob, not the other way around. Debt moved away like a bad roommate who realized the rent was being paid on time. And one quiet morning, Bob opened his drawer again. Inside, he saw the same coins, the same bills, but now they looked polite. Bob closed the drawer and said, "Stay." They did. Because money still changes, the world still spins, sales still shout, but Bob finally learned the trick. Don't chase money, train it. And that was the strange journey of Bob and money. Not a story about getting rich, a story about getting control. And for Bob, that felt better than magic. So if money keeps leaving, don't blame luck. Look at your behavior. Money doesn't stay where there's chaos, it stays where there's respect. Treat it well, and it usually stays. That's it. See you in the next lesson.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Bob Money. If you like finance tips, subscribe and like this video. Whoa! My money is running away! Get back here, you little rascals!